Hello, Dunecrest American School, and happy Eid and Eid Mubarak to you all. We hope you're having a special time today, and all break will be a exciting time. Did want to remind everybody we do not have school on Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday. Again, we'll be celebrating our happy Eid and Eid Mubarak. Next, as we all know, we here at Dunecrest American School are expected to be leaders, and students, you are leaders. As you lead others, remember leaders accentuate the positive. They always find ways to make things go well. The leader always sees the day as sunny and never partly cloudy. Why is it that leaders do this? And that's because you students who are our leaders, because leaders know optimism is highly contagious. In other words, finding the positive in every situation is highly contagious. Even in small doses, a positive attitude that believes the best for everyone can spread quickly and influence many. And so we want you to do that. The optimist emits a positive energy that flows and is infused into the weary until they become strong. The team takes its cue from the leader. That's you, my students at Dunecrest American School. So if the leader is negative, unfortunately, the team will be negative too. We don't want to see that. But if the leader dwells on what's right, the team will share the same positive viewpoint. Your family is the team also. So when you work with your family, be positive, be an optimist, find the good things that are going on well in your life. There will always be critics to point out what's wrong, but it is the leader's job to see what's right. Do as Melvin Maxwell explains, enthusiasm is contagious. It's difficult to remain neutral or indifferent in the presence of a positive thinker. And speaking of great positive thinkers, I'd like to introduce you to our Spanish and French teacher for next year, Miss Isabel Palmer, and she was going to explain about what her classes will be like and what you can expect in Miss Palmer's classes, both her French class and her Spanish classes. So let's hear from Miss Palmer now. Hello, Dunecrest American School, and welcome to one of our visits with a superstar teacher, Miss Isabel Palmer. She does both French and Spanish, and she speaks so many languages. I'm so impressed with her. It's just amazing. So hello, Miss Palmer. How are you today?
Very good, thank you.
Good. So tell us, Miss Palmer, what will it be like to be in your classroom and to learn from you?
It'd be very noisy. We usually have a very noisy classroom. We encourage our students to communicate through dialogues. We use a fantastic platform that's called Linguoscope, where they learn vocabulary, and out of this vocabulary, we put together a project where they can use the language in the real context. So there's a lot of things going on. We've got also fantastic tables that I love. They're like whiteboard big tables, so students can work together and decide how they want to answer questions when we do exercise on grammar or conjugation. So it's very active and very noisy, but everybody's welcome.
Right. And, I love the noisiness because that just means people are in there talking and getting with it. So that's one of the excitements of your class. There's a lot of vivaciousness in there. A lot of excitement goes on. So
yeah, I'll try to be the one who propose, and then everybody gets into the project and they use it the way they want to use it. So it becomes very personal, and so they take their learning on their shoulders, and we progress well. So yeah, and we're not afraid to use the language, which is the idea.
Right. And I know, Ms. Palmer, you're also a lifelong learner yourself. You're always going off to classes and learning new techniques. So tell us a little bit about your colleges and universities that you attended.
So I learned as I was teaching. So I did my degree as I was teaching French and Spanish with a very fantastic university back in England, which was called Open University. And then I moved on to doing my PGC, which is my teacher training, again, teaching French and Spanish. So it was fantastic to learn and to practice at the same time and learn from fantastic other professionals. So really enjoyed my training. Nice. And it's a long life training anyway.
Right, so that's right. Now, Miss Palmer, you were one of the founding teachers at Dunecrest, so you've been here since the school was created and been part of us since day one. So, what is it that you like best about Dunecrest?
I like the idea of having students from grade 3 all the way to the IBDP program. So we can always change and adapt it. So we can adapt our curriculum. And that way we just bring the best out of our students and make them long-term fantastic citizen of the world by using languages. So that's the idea. That's what I love about it, is to go from lower, not to be stuck into primary, not to be stuck in secondary, but to have a long-term vision of the seeds that we're planting and seeing them growing.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Palmer, for taking some time out today and visiting with us virtually at Dunecrest American School. And I look forward to having you back at the end of August.
I can't wait.
I know. So have our classes back with us. Thank you, Ms. Palmer.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Oh, it's always exciting to have Miss Palmer around. She's just such a neat person, and her classes are fabulous. So make sure you sign up for French or Spanish. They are both wonderful languages to learn, and I know you do a great job. Now, over the last few days, Dunecrest American School, we have gone to the space station. We have gone to Mars. We have gone in a balloon to the reaches of outer space. Today is the culmination of all of these experiences, and we're going to take a virtual field trip today all the way into a mission to get us into space. This is done by Boeing and then our partners at NASA also. So I want you to enjoy our virtual field trip to space and enjoy it. And if you want to see it again, you just click on the link that's provided and you can go to space as many times as you like. Here we go. Let's take off. Strap in, put the seatbelt on. Let's head to space. Try that again.
Status check to proceed with terminal count. Atlas systems propulsion. Go. Pneumatics. Go. Starliner. Go.
The mission is set.
LC, you have permission to launch.
All systems are go.
Proceeding with the count.
The countdown is on.
3, 2, 1. We have ignition. We have liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket.
And that's why Boeing is taking us to Johnson Space Center to see all the amazing ways they're exploring space. From the Starliner CST-100 to ISS, the International Space Station, to SLS, the Space Launch System.
Hi, I'm Anais Laurent from Discovery Education. Together, we're going to explore the outside and inside of the Starliner capsule.
Learn why it's crucial to maintaining the International Space Station. Get an idea of where the most powerful rocket in history might one day take us. And even get a chance to shoot off our own mini rocket. Along the way, we'll meet a few of the thousands of Boeing engineers who have been working together for years to help America get to space, and maybe even to Mars.
We want to thank Boeing for bringing us to the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas today. It is a place that is truly out of this world. And while we're here, you can join us on Twitter to chat with some of the Boeing engineers featured in this virtual field trip who are building the future of space exploration. Send your pictures and questions using #FutureYou.
Johnson Space Center was established in 1961 as part of President John F. Kennedy's bold plan to put a human on the moon.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth.
Almost every part of that audacious quest happened here, including Project Gemini and Project Apollo, leading to perhaps the most famous step in human history by astronaut Neil Armstrong.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Nicknamed Space City, Johnson is where human spaceflight training, research, and flight control happens. The entire complex is comprised of 100 buildings spread across 1,600 acres. And today, we're going to get a special behind-the-scenes look at Building 9, the Space Vehicle Mock-up Facility, Building 5, the Space Mission Simulation Facility, the Visitor Center, known as Space Center Houston, and Rocket Park, which displays the rockets NASA used during the 1960s and 1970s. Beyond training astronauts, Johnson Space Center is also where NASA monitors the crew aboard the International Space Station.
Boeing is working on two major projects this year, the SLS Space Launch System and the CST-100 Starliner. Behind me is a Starliner training module. Here to tell us about it is Tony Castilleja Jr., a mechanical engineer from Boeing.
Welcome to Boeing. Welcome to the next generation of human spaceflight.
Thank you. It's great to be here today. So can you tell us a little bit about the Starliner? What is it designed to do?
The Boeing Starliner will launch to the International Space Station this year. It will fly on the Atlas V rocket to expand the science that's currently conducted on the International Space Station. And most importantly, this vehicle flies itself. The astronaut is there just in case. Once we get to space station, the astronauts go into the space station, conduct those experiments, and when their journey is complete, they come back home on that Boeing Starliner. And the Boeing Starliner lands on land in the western United States, which for the engineers, that innovation means quick access to the crew, and then also quick access to the science experiments that have been conducted on space station. It's a whole new ride for a whole new generation of science in space.
Why does it land on land and not water?
When you look at the metallic design of the Boeing Starliner, you think about salt water, and you think about the effects that has in terms of the strength of the material over time. And so when you're building a spacecraft that needs to be safe and economical and reusable, our engineers knew that eliminating the risk of saltwater intrusion was critical. And so that drove us to a land landing design. And our engineers added landing airbags to the spacecraft above and beyond the typical parachutes that you see of previous spacecraft to create the first land landing spacecraft of its kind.
What would you say would be one of the most unique aspects of this spacecraft?
Autonomy. When you think about these spacecraft and the innovation that exists today, well, if you thought self-driving cars were cool, self-driving spaceships are even cooler. And it takes computer science and mathematics to make that happen. And as engineers, we work with our astronaut crews in astronaut training every single day to ensure they understand the autonomy of the vehicle, but most importantly, that they are there just in case to ensure safety success at any point of the mission.
And in terms of the shape, it looks like there's been similar capsules throughout history. So why this shape in particular?
Well, as engineers, you always go back to the data. The data tells you the solution. And as we look back at the history of human spaceflight, a capsule shape was the optimized design to fly through the atmosphere and onward to space. When you're launching from Florida, going from 0 miles an hour to almost 18,000 miles an hour, well, that capsule design is the most optimized shape. So although it might look like the Apollo and the Gemini capsule, it's a whole new generation of innovation inside that door.
As you approach launch date, how excited are you?
It's an exciting opportunity for Boeing, but more importantly, it's an exciting opportunity for every student out there. Space and space travel is just at the beginning, and we can't wait till you join our team.
Tell me a bit about Building 9. What exactly happens here?
Well, at Johnson Space Center Building 9, it's the home of astronaut training. And as you can hear, there's a lot of work going on. Why? Because we are actually training astronauts right now for our missions on Boeing Starliner and doing training for deep space missions. So it's an exciting place, and it's leading the future for that next generation astronaut. And it could be even one of the students seeing us right now.
Thank you so much, Tony. Now we're off to go meet another Boeing engineer to take a look inside the capsule.
Cool. Just head up the stairs.
Here we go. Hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm Selena. Welcome to Boeing Starliner.
Thank you.
Here's a bump cap for safety before you come in, and then I'll show you around.
This looks amazing.
I'll make some room for you. Watch your head as you get in. That's what the bump cap's for. So here we are in the Starliner. Take a look around. This is a full-size scale mock-up of the CST-100 Starliner. Boeing built this trainer actually to train the astronauts who are going to fly on this vehicle and also do testing.
How many astronauts can fit in this capsule?
In the configuration we're in right now, we've got 3 seats. So you can see the commander seat, the pilot seat, and then this is our mission specialist seat. We can swap out the cargo pallet that you're sitting on for a 4th seat, and we can swap out this cargo pallet back here for a 5th seat. In the configuration that the capsule's in right now, we can fit 5 crew members. Boeing has some ideas for the future of potentially taking out these 2 cargo pallets and adding 2 more seats to fit 7.
So Selena, tell us, what exactly do you do at Boeing?
I'm a human factors systems engineer for Boeing, and that's a lot of words that put together, most people don't know exactly what it is. Basically, how I like to explain it is, in this vehicle, I help make sure that the astronauts are safe and comfortable and effective at their job on the way to space station. We bring astronauts into the vehicle. We teach them about the procedures and the scenario that they're going to be running. We teach them about all the equipment that they're going to be interacting with. And then we have them run a scenario, basically pretending that they're in space or on the launch pad or docked to station. And they run through those scenarios, give us feedback. It's crucial because these astronauts, they have a ton of experience that we as engineers just don't have. So getting their feedback is awesome. So if you wanted, we can get into the seats and pretend we're astronauts.
Yes, let's go for it.
I'm going to slide in right next to you.
All right.
And then you'll come in after me. So I'll get in the seat and then slide over to seat 1.
Wow, you're like a pro at this.
I've spent a lot of time in here. And really, when the astronauts do this, we'll have a pad crew member in here and help them get strapped in. So now we're sitting here looking at the displays. The shape of this was designed specifically for the commander to be able to reach everything on the console. It's kind of wrapped around this seat, the commander seat, and that's so that the commander can reach everything over here, everything up here, and even all these switches over here. So the pilot, you're the pilot in this scenario, the pilot can definitely help with all of the display work and things on the console, but we want to make sure that one single crew member can fly this vehicle if they need to.
Now, as a pilot, what exactly would I be doing on a mission?
You would be helping the commander with everything that he or she is doing. So the commander, like I said, should be able to fly a mission by herself. That's why the console is shaped the way it is. That's why the displays are set up the way they are. But everything's easier when there's 2 people helping out. So really, the pilot can help monitor certain things. On a real mission, there's not much that the crew members do, including the commander. This baby can basically fly itself all the way to station.
Selena, looks like we have a question from one of our student viewers. Let's take a look.
Awesome.
Hi, Selena. When did you start getting interested in space exploration? Did you have any role models growing up?
That's a great question. I've been interested in space as long as I can remember. I've wanted to be an astronaut since I was about 4 years old. My dad is an engineer, so science and math came pretty easy, and he was there to help. And my mom's an elementary school librarian, so she helped me figure out answers when I couldn't figure them out myself. So it was kind of the perfect role models for me to end up where I am today, sitting inside of a spacecraft trainer.
Thank you so much for this tour, Selena.
You're welcome. I'm really glad to show you around our capsule.
Now I'm off to meet another Boeing engineer in Building 9. But first, how do I get out of this cockpit?
Let's practice an egress.
Let's do it. We're standing in front of a mock-up of the International Space Station. And here to tell us about it today is James Dixon, a mechanical systems engineer at Boeing. James, can you tell us a little bit about what the ISS is?
The ISS is a modern marvel. It's the largest construction project in the history of mankind. And as you can see from the mock-up behind us, it is not small at all. The International Space Station was built by a consortium of countries from around the world, including Russia, Europe, Canada, the United States, and Japan, to launch a space station the size of a football field to help further our knowledge of natural sciences, space, and give us a foothold towards exploration in the rest of the solar system.
What exactly do you do at the space station?
For the space station, I work as a mission evaluation room manager, where I coordinate the individual teams that provide engineering recommendations to the flight controllers.
How do you do that from so far away?
Doing it from down here on the ground is pretty difficult. We have to use data coming down from the space station real time, as well as the eyes and ears of the crew that we have on board to describe the problems they run into. And we take that and talk about it here on the ground with systems experts from not only here in Houston, but around the globe to fix the problems that we have on station. So it's like turning a wrench for your sink at home, except not with your eyes or your own hands, trying to guide somebody that you can't actually see what they're doing.
How do you use the mock-up behind us?
The mock-up that we have behind us, we use to train the astronauts that we send to the International Space Station. Not only do we train the crew inside the mock-up, but we actually use it for development of new projects for the space station, as well as for solving the problems that we see in orbit. It's a high-fidelity mock-up, which means that it mirrors the exact same configuration we have on station. So we can try to replicate the problems we have on orbit down here on the ground to fix them.
What kind of problems do you see in orbit?
The problems that we see in orbit are anywhere from the toilet breaking, which is a pretty common occurrence, to having problems with the electrical power system or the cooling systems that we have on space station. Space is an unforgiving environment, so at any given time, we have to make sure that the systems that keep the astronauts alive continue working and working to the best of their ability.
Why is Boeing working on the International Space Station?
Boeing's been involved in the International Space Station since the beginning. They originally integrated and designed and built many of the United States modules that were launched to orbit. And since we've designed and built the modules, we've continued maintaining them after we've sent them to orbit.
James, how did you get your job?
Since I was a little kid, I've been really interested in space and exploration. And I've pursued computer programming and engineering since I was little, and ended up coming here to Houston to work on the International Space Station.
James, thank you so much for telling me about your job, and best of luck.
Thank you very much, and you're welcome.
We are in Building 5 at Johnson Space Center, the Space Simulation Mission Facility. Today, we're joined by Kavya Manyapu, a crew operations and flight test engineer at Boeing. Kavya, what goes on in this building?
So this is where we train every astronaut on how to fly a spacecraft. Whether it was the space shuttle program that retired or the International Space Station, and now our CST-100 Starliner spacecraft.
And what is this simulator behind us?
So this is the Starliner spacecraft simulator. This is where we train every astronaut that will be flying the Starliner to the International Space Station.
And how difficult is it to dock the Starliner?
Well, come inside, I'll show you.
Let's do it.
This is where we train astronauts to fly the spacecraft. If you compare this to maybe like a 737 or a 787, and even to the space shuttle, it's a lot smaller, a lot less controls. However, it has, all the brains to fly the vehicle. We have, various systems on the spacecraft, like you want to keep the crew alive, so you have your environmental control system. We provide these displays where all of the information on the various systems is displayed for the astronauts. We have all of our primary control, where we fire our thrusters. You need to make all those propulsion moves in order to move the vehicle. We have all of our entry systems, meaning when you're coming back home, you want to come back safe, and in order to do that, we release parachutes, we use airbags, and all of those controls are right here. Why don't we take you on a spin to the International Space Station?
Yeah, let's go for it.
The Starliner is built to fly autonomously, so you really don't have to worry too much about making it to your target. However, if something goes wrong, we have built-in controls for the pilot. So you have what we call the rotational hand controller here and your translation hand controller here. And as you're getting closer, you'll start to monitor your docking system. Your docking system is what's in front of the vehicle. That's like a system that actually docks to station. We are trying to stay aligned with the docking port of the station. The spacecraft is doing a great job trying to, keep us centered and aligned. And at any time something happens, the commander in the seat that I'm sitting in can go manual control to dock or even retreat from station. So we are 2 meters from docking. Getting close.
I can see it.
Yes. Our docking system is doing it. You'll see like we have one system active to dock and we have another system standby just in case. And docking!
There we go. That was awesome.
And you can see once we're docked, it's not over. The docking system is doing everything it needs to. And then after all of that is done, you need to what we call pressurize the vestibule. So you want to make sure all of that pressure is equalized. There's no leaks before you can open your hatch and go on to the other side.
This is such a cool job. What advice do you have for students looking to, just kind of get into this type of career path?
So I'll tell you what my dad told me and what my dad advised me, and I think it worked for me. He always said, math and science are your foundation for anything you want to do. And it's not just, picking math and science as a subject, but if you spend time and look at it, you're actually learning about how things work in general in the universe. And it's really amazing. And that's what I would tell kids is, don't look at, I need to make GPA 4.0 and I have to study and that's a lot of stress. But when you look at how does this thing work? How does a car work? And if you get deeper into that, it's really fascinating to learn how, all of these systems work.
Kavya, thank you so much. I'm so glad we're able to dock safely.
We're so happy to show you how our Starliner works.
Now we're headed to Space Center Houston to learn more about the ISS.
We're now inside Space Center Houston, the visitor center at Johnson Space Center. It's filled with hundreds of space artifacts and cool interactive exhibits, like the exhibit we're standing at right now, the International Space Station Gallery, with a full-size mock-up of ISS.
I'm joined with Jennifer Hammond, a systems integration engineer at Boeing. Jennifer, can you tell me a little bit what you do here at the ISS?
I'm a mission evaluation room engineer, and I work with a bunch of different systems that support the health of the crew, how things operate, and really we want to make sure that what they're doing on a daily basis, that things work the way that they should for them. So this is a good mock-up of the area of crew quarters where they live. What's right in front of you is a sleeping bag. When you're in space, you're floating, so you need something to keep you grounded, so to speak. And
I want to give it a try.
Zip it up here, like that. There are Velcros that you can do. There is a head strap here that can come across your head. So it just straps right across here on your forehead to this other side. And then that way you have your head stable and it's not moving around. Does it feel comfortable?
It does.
It's probably very cozy, right? So think if you had that and then you wouldn't have to worry about being restless. It just helps you be a little bit more calm.
I love it. It's kind of like an IMAX too.
There you go. See, exactly.
And is this exercising equipment?
It is. So it's very important to exercise in space, actually, because you can lose bone mass. And so in order to keep your bones strong, you need to exercise. So there's various exercise equipment that we have on the International Space Station. We have a bike similar to this. You can move your arms, you pedal your legs, you're getting that resistance for your muscles and for your bones. We also have a treadmill and also a kind of like a squat rack machine. You can do bench presses, you can do squats.
What's up with this recycled urine?
Okay, so if you step down a little bit, we will move over here and I will explain to you that it actually is recycled urine. So have a seat. This is a toilet. So when you think about when you're in space and you need to use the restroom, everything floats. Everything floats, right? So you have to have a way of pulling it down and into a tank from your body when you release it. So what the crew does, this is where they sit. This is their little area. Behind this is a whole system that takes that urine and processes it and turns it into water. So that recycled urine that you were seeing is actually a drink bag that the crew can drink from, and it is water. It is very pure. I've never heard a complaint about the taste of it. I've never tried it myself, but I'm sure it is just fine. So if you want to step down, we'll move over here. I'll tell you a little bit more about the crew quarters area. So you think about your restroom and your bathroom at home, and the crew kind of needs a place to do that stuff too, just like the personal hygiene. So they have these little spaces here. It's kind of like a little closet. Like I had the curtain over here for the toilet area. There's a curtain over here as well that can be closed and give you some privacy. So the male crew members can shave in here. You can wash your face. You can use wipes. They have drawers to keep personal things in. It's like a bathroom, except for you don't have the conventional sink like we do at home. You don't have that flow of water in your bathroom here, but this is where they would get ready, get dressed, changed, and do personal hygiene things.
What do astronauts eat in space?
They eat food, real food, and if you step over here, I can show you.
Take a look.
So here's an example of a food storage area. So I'll let you pick one out. Each one of these packages comes, it's freeze-dried food. There's vegetables, there's meat. Crew adds water through the spout to hydrate the food. So this one is a beef patty.
Have you tried this beef patty before?
I have not tried a beef patty before. There are places where you can buy astronaut ice cream and try freeze-dried ice cream, which is actually pretty good. And so this is what the crew uses to get all their nutrition.
Ooh, an orange mango drink.
Orange mango drink. There are flavored drinks. There are vegetables. There's meat. Pretty much anything that you could do at home as a meal is offered for the crew.
And of course, some more drinking water.
Recycled air.
Very necessary.
Yes.
Jennifer, thank you so much for showing us this module. This was amazing.
Oh, you're very welcome. This gave you a little glimpse into what it's like to live on space station, so I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you. We are now in another incredible part of Johnson Space Center, Rocket Park, a display of the rockets NASA used during the 1960s and 1970s. And inside that warehouse is the big old granddaddy of them all, the Saturn V rocket, all 30 stories of it. Say hello to Myron Fletcher, a rocket propulsion test engineer at Boeing. Does that mean you're a real-life rocket scientist?
It really does mean I'm a real-life rocket scientist. I'm working on NASA's Space Launch System, which is the world's most powerful rocket. It's 321 feet tall, so imagine the Statue of Liberty and imagine a little bit taller than that. That's how tall this rocket is.
Wow, that sounds huge. How does that compare to the rocket behind us?
So the first SLS, which would be Block 1B, is actually a little shorter than the Saturn V behind us. But the second rocket, 2B, is actually a little bit taller, about 45 feet taller than the Saturn V behind us.
Myron, why do we need a rocket this big?
We need a rocket that big so we can propel things into deep space. Right now, we're only able to go into low Earth orbit, which is where the International Space Station is. With the rocket the size of SLS, we can actually send humans to Mars and beyond.
And what sorts of things can you find inside of SLS?
So SLS is propelled with liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen. When those two combine, they create a thrust of 500,000 pounds per engine, which allows us to send missions and crews into deep space orbit.
And what does deep space orbit mean?
So Saturn V was the last time, in the 1970s, was the last time we went to the moon. We have not had a rocket that was able to propel us past the moon until Saturn V came into play. SLS will take us further than the moon and even onto Mars.
How long would it take to get to Mars?
So a total trip would take 8.5 months to get there and 8.5 months to come back. So you're looking at over 16 months to go to Mars and come back.
How did you get into rocketry?
So I got into rocketry at a very young age. At the age of 10 years old, I had a desire to go to Space Camp. And Space Camp was in Huntsville, Alabama. That's where they have the Saturn V sitting out. I remember walking out of my bus from 5th grade, and I looked up at that rocket, and I said, if people built that rocket, I want to be a part of a program where I can build a rocket like that. And so here I am today working on Space Launch System. My degree is in aerospace engineering and physics. I double majored at Tuskegee University for my undergrad. I have a master's degree from Duke University in engineering management. And so with the combination of both of those degrees, I'm able to live out my dreams as a rocket propulsion engineer.
Tell me a little bit about what it's like working with the team here at Boeing.
So Boeing has some of the smartest people in the world working on this rocket, and we all work together in collaboration with countries all around the world. And it's just humbling to have the experience and the expertise. I'm working with people who work on the Apollo program, which is just mind-blowing to know how these people helped build a rocket to get to the moon. And here we are building a rocket to get to Mars. So work with some of the smartest, some of the brightest, and some of the most diverse mindsets in the industry. And to me, that's the most exciting part about working at Boeing.
Myron, we're going to take a question from one of our student viewers.
Hi, Myron. I'm wondering what I can do to become a rocket engineer just like you.
You can become a rocket scientist just like me right now. Anais, let's go outside and show them how to do it. Anais, so here we are with a soda bottle rocket launch. If you don't mind picking up the soda bottle rocket and the nose cone, and I'm going to pick up the dispenser for the fuel and the water, which will be our fuel. So what we have here is a bottle rocket kit that you can buy online, or you can make it yourself at home with different items around the house. It's pretty much a plastic bottle with the nozzle, and these are fins to help it stabilize. So the water is our fuel. We put pressure inside of it. When the pressure and the water combine together, it creates a combustion. As that combustion is created, it creates what we call thrust. That thrust causes the rocket to go up. So as the mass gets emptier and emptier and the thrust increases and increases, the velocity of the rocket goes up in the air. And that's what we call rocket science 101. And now we're going to fill the rocket to get it to take off. So I'm going to put the nozzle here, and you're going to give me some fuel. Yep, that's good. Now the water combined with the pressure of the air hose is going to cause this rocket to take off in combustion. We're going to have thrust in the bottom. And I'm just going to put some pressure on it. I'm going to put about 30 PSI in. All right. So we're going to step back 10 feet for safety reasons. And we're going to do a 3, 2, 1 countdown, and the rocket's going to take off. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Blast off!
Whoa, thank you so much, Myron. That was very inspiring. And that wraps up our virtual field trip to Johnson Space Center. I'd like to extend a big thanks to Boeing for bringing us here today. I'd also like to thank all of the amazing Boeing engineers that we've met along the way. To learn more, visit BoeingFutureU.com. And on behalf of Discovery Education, I'm Anais Lauren. Bye!
And now, Dunecrest American School, you have a choice to make. You can make it a great day, or you can make it a fantastic day. The choice is yours. At Dunecrest American School, we're about raising student achievement every day, every way.